And welcome back to another edition of Food for Thought. I'm Buzzy Zipwhack, and this is my co-host, Silly Way Out Willie.
Buzzy!
How's it going, brother? If you've been with us for the past few weeks, we've been exposing the politically incorrect term, New World Order.
That's right, man.
And that's right, I'm going to say it again, New World Order, New World Order, New World Order, because that is my right. It is not a hateful act. It is not an insightful act. It is not a violent act. It is my God-given right. And remember that, folks, the unalienable right.
The pursuit of truth and beauty keeps you young, folks. That's what we're doing. We're staying young, keeping our mind active on, something that has a very high impact on our lives and the lives of the posterity of all your people out there as well.
And if you were here with us last week, you would have basically witnessed Willie just throwing about 5 gallons of gasoline on me and lighting me with a match, basically, because, boy, you did set me on fire with that article.
Oh, yeah.
And now, excuse me, now since a week has gone by, have any of you heard about that in the mainstream media? Now, that article was about saying grassroots organizations that spend a certain amount of money, I think you said it was $25,000 or more, have to report to Congress. And there was a few other stipulations thrown in. And knowingly failing to comply with that law could lead into a jail term, 1 year in prison, $250,000 fine.
No, $50,000 and $100,000 fine. That's what was posted on the actual bill, which is Senate Bill 1. You can check it out at grassrootsfreedom.com. That's grassrootsfreedom.com. There was a gentleman who started a web page there to fight the efforts to silence, the people who are trying to silence grassroots efforts. That's what this is all about, folks, because, like Buzzy was saying, these criminal provisions are going to scare these people into silence. In 2 generations, it's going to be more Orwellian than it is right now.
Absolutely is. In the last first 2 shows of this season, we were showing some of the chronological history of the New World Order, trying to put it into perspective so that, as we talked about these different subjects, United Nations,
let's go
the Constitution.
Quickly. Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve
Act.
Let's
go quickly. Humanism. The Humanist Manifestos are rewritten, and into the Communist Manifesto, the Americans wouldn't accept it, so they reinterpret it into the Humanist Manifestos. The Humanist Manifestos are the indoctrination of the National Education Association. They script all the books in our country. We pay for this, out of our tax dollars. In fact, there's this guy up in New Hampshire, Ed Brown. He's being seized and held by federal authorities, backed up by local police. He's resisting paying his taxes, Buzzy. I don't know if you heard about these people.
Yeah, I did. I read that article, and there's a lot of people out there with the same attitude.
Well, this particular gentleman, Mr. Brown, up there in Plainfield, New Hampshire, Edward Brown, he started the Rangers, and that's the United States Constitutional Rangers. And they're sworn to protect and serve the constitutional republics, of course, which were dissolved in 1933. Is that correct, Buzzy?
33 or 38. I forget exactly.
I think it's 33. I do
Same
believe.
time, it had to be because that was the year we declared bankruptcy, along with 12 other European nations.
Yes.
Canada, Mexico.
Something you might not be familiar with, but it's true.
All because of the Depression, which was caused by the Federal Reserve.
The
But we're going to
controllers.
devote a whole show to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important to,
That's something we've never really gotten
Roll
into
over.
is some of the details of the Depression and what really brought that about and why it was brought about and what some of the outcomes were from that. Now,
Let me just finish up here with Mr. Edward Brown. Edward Brown, like I said, right now he's being held up in his house. I guess the FBI isn't going to really bother him because the way he's got himself boxed in there, he's got so many supplies. He's got solar, and wind energy. But there's all these patriots who believe that we truly shouldn't have to pay taxes from all over the country. There's a lot of people out there, IRS agents included, who can't prove that there's a law that says we have to pay our taxes. And it's tax season, folks, so, check it out.
And you don't believe it right now. This is a very appropriate time because I was thinking about it as we were coming down here. There is a new movie out called Freedom to Fascism.
Oh,
it was
wonderful.
written and produced by a man named Aaron Russo. You've probably heard of the movie The Rose, very popular. I think it won an Academy Award for something. Also Trading Places. He made both those movies. So, he's been around. He's seen probably both sides of it, being in Hollywood, making entertainment movies.
The series is a heart attack, folks. You check that out, and you will have a new perspective and walk through a new threshold of understanding. And, a lot of people out there, I know, they have fears about going through these thresholds. I talk to my friends and everyone in my sphere of influence about this stuff all the time. They may love me or hate me for it. You know, my friend complimented me the other day by saying, geez, you know, it's good to be with you, brother, because you're right in the eye of the storm and you tell me what's going down because everybody else is just getting tossed to and fro. But anyway, that's just me thinking inside my head.
That's because we're planted in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it is. You know, I mean, if you take the time to read the Bible, which is quite an amazing read, by the way, folks.
encourage
It's not
you
just
to
a
check
bunch
it
of
out.
laws, do's and don'ts. It really is.
If you haven't picked one up, you know, go dust it off over there, pick it up and just go, you know, not that, you know, you're going to get what you need, but sometimes you get what you need.
You know, and ask God the questions, because you ain't going to fall off a storm if you ask him the question. You'd be surprised when he might give you the answers. Usually when you're least expecting it, boom.
Right.
Wow, that makes sense. Now I see how that applies. Because there ain't a situation in that Bible that life doesn't, or that life does not cover, that something that has
And
not
you're
been
at,
written
you know,
in that
that's
Bible.
something that we should recognize too, that our most powerful weapons as human beings is prayer, with a bended knee, and praise to rout the devil. And you know what? We're not employing these spiritual weapons. The battle that we're up against right now against the Illuminati is a spiritual one.
Absolutely is.
And it cannot be waged any other way than in a spiritual battle. That means coming under the lordship of Jesus Christ. And so if you don't buy that, I don't know what to say, because you know, I think, you know, you want to be under the wing of the eagle, and when this stuff goes down, I mean, really, we don't know what's coming. Natural catastrophe, sunspots, creating all these global warming, and then there's, you know, people out there using the propaganda to make us all afraid and to give more money and create more bureaucracy. Don't fall into the green scam, folks.
That's right. You know, it's fear is the ultimate weapon, because when you are afraid to act, and usually because you're afraid to lose something. Well, we're not here to start being, the end of the world is coming, you know, this and that, because no man knows the hour. But Jesus did said that we would be able to see the signs. And that's why a big part of it is because I see
ones.
You know, I see little bits of chiseling away from the constitutional republic, which we really have not been since 1933. But of course, now you won't get a government official to actually come out and say that we are not a constitutional republic, because you would have
Well, you did.
civil war or something. I don't know what.
You did. What's his name there? He's in prison now, yeah. Representative James Traficant Jr. of Ohio, when he's addressing the House, he said it is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act. March 9, 1933. That's right, folks. Public law declared by President Roosevelt. That's right. Being bankrupt and insolvent. Blah, 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 blah. We've talked about this before. I don't know what else to say. If you think I'm a wackadoo, you know, check into why Mr. James Traficant Jr. is in prison and he wants to run for president out of prison. Go, James.
Absolutely. You know, this is the whole thing. You're not going to have somebody come out and say that, because when you start really revealing the truth, now, you know, it's just like Satan. That's why he does everything in the dark, because when you expose it, you take away its power. And that's the whole thing here. You know, I mean, a perfect example is the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It states the powers not delegated into the United States by the Constitution, remember that, by the Constitution, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. That's us. What does that mean now? It means nowhere in the Constitution does it give the federal government any power to control over our education, the health, welfare, labor, dams, public projects, agriculture, unemployment, housing, weapons, our protection. None of that. It limits it.
You think we're against the federal government, people? Just a little bit?
You know, the principalities in which the Constitution was established
For the sake of our founding fathers, we are here. We are here.
In a manner of speaking, yes, we are, because we are their posterity.
Indeed,
Plain
and
and
that's
simple.
why they wrote it, and it says it right on there.
And in the past show, last season, we talked about symbolism in our heraldry.
Oh, boy.
And now,
It's
what
deep.
was that? Is our symbolic inheritance. Now, we have symbols like the eagle, which is a symbol